Saintess summons skeletons, a holy necromancy lit RPG. By Morn. Chapter 151, Evranarium Line. Sofia stood up. She was very sore, and the absence of mana in her body made her lightheaded, but she needed to check the dead corpse of the demon. If there had been no kill notification, it could only mean two things: either the system had fucked up, or the demon was still alive. She walked closer to the body that was burning up. She had thought it was burning because of the nearby magma, but that wasn't it. This wasn't regular fire. This was the body disappearing. Sofia almost cried out at the sight of the disintegrating giant bones, but she understood well what this meant. The Titan had been a mana construct, like her graveyard skeletons. There had never been any chance of her being able to make a new body for Perith out of it. It would have been so nice. I don't even have a replacement ready. I guess I still have his first body in the ring, better than nothing. Maybe I have time to hunt a few stone ogres before meeting with Alith. There was a very real possibility that the demon was still alive, but at least it wouldn't be a 10-meter tall giant curse bird anymore. Sofia couldn't even really bring herself to panic. If a level 299 decided to kill her now, there was nothing she could do to defend herself. She didn't have the slightest hint of mana left in her body. The theory that she was still alive confirmed itself soon after. The giant demon body had burned up enough that Sofia could see hints of the ordinary demon woman, passed out on the ground, protected by the corpse's ribs. Evranarium Line, Daughter of Curse, LV 299. You have been affected by insanity. But your skills negated the status. Ah, yes, still the same, very alive, Sofia thought as she hid the insanity status notifications. The corpse kept disappearing in fake flames until nothing was left of it. Sofia observed the avian demon sprawled on the ground. Her original appearance was much cuter than whatever the bird abomination from before was. She was the bird version of Sofia's more combat reptile-looking demon form. Also, she actually had a face with eyes. Her wings were covered in small fleshy black feathers, and her body was that of a thin and slender but tall avian woman, except covered in the signature demon-style grey-black leather and scales. Not quite as tall as me, though. The only part that weirded Sofia out was that she had both a beak and a mouth. How is that supposed to work? She couldn't do anything but wait for the mana penalty to be over, so she sat back down and watched the magma lake stop bubbling and start solidifying. Oh, is the darkness still there? She cut off her enhanced vision, and everything turned black. Ah! This eternal darkness might be worth coming back to investigate later. I wonder how that bird will react when she wakes up. Hopefully, she won't straight up obliterate me. A random system notification sound disrupted the weak sound of bubbling magma. Error. Out of nowhere like this? Failed to establish mainframe connection, user currently in scribe-only mode. Following emergency procedure R02.8, a quest has been issued. EPR 02.8, forceful scribe-only repair of an outdated scribe-only third-party. Instructions: press the palm of your hand onto the outdated user Evranarium lines for it and wait for the data transfer to be over. Rewards: Gachapon box *3. Penalty for failure: scribe privileges revoked. This quest is mandatory. Scribe privileges revoked? I'm unsure what that entails, but I don't want to know. Repair? Outdated scribe only? Data transfer? Did her scribe break? Outdated means too old, so will I become outdated if I stay in scribe only for too long? Let's do this, then. I hope she won't wake up and slap me out of existence. Sofia stood up again and walked up to the demon on the ground. She was in an awkward position, so since Sofia had to touch her anyway, she took the opportunity to put her in a more comfortable one. Then she kneeled near the demon's head and pressed her palm against it. She could sense some mana moving back and forth between her hand and the woman's head. And yet I'm stuck at 0? The whole process took about 5 seconds. Quest complete, congratulations. Your reward will be delivered soon. Error. User in scribe-only mode, please provide the mana required for reward delivery. Paid mana, 0/30,003. Whatever. Sofia sighed and walked back to her spot to lie down. The demon hadn't woken up. Half an hour passed, the mana penalty wore off, and Sofia could finally feel her condition stabilizing, even her health started going up a bit faster. Her first move was to summon the book as soon as she had 15,000 mana ready and summon her 5 fire salamander skeletons. She had to do this while the magma at the lake's center was still liquid to make things easier, so it had to be at the top of her priority list. Since she could feel the positions of the ring and the staff, she tasked the salamanders, whose natural habitat was lava, to retrieve them. It wasn't long before the skeletons came back carrying the items. Undamaged, but very hot. Picking up the red ring from the tooth, she was relieved to see it still worked. She took out some chalk and 100 gold, and then she got to drawing the Generosity of Sun ritual once again. I knew it would be useful when I picked it, but I didn't expect it to be that much. In hindsight, I would have been an absolute sea goblin to pick anything else. Everything needs tons of mana. It's almost comical that my mana pool, which is supposed to be huge for my level, is still insufficient. She also put on the saint set items and sat down, finally getting a good source of healing to help her back up to full thanks to the usually underwhelming set effect of regaining 1 health and mana per second while sitting. Next in line was dumping a big load of bones from her armor's storage. She first made it into a large flat sheet of bone on the ground, then carried the avian on it and reshaped it to make it into a coffin of sorts. The demon was constricted into thigh bone encasing, with only her head poking out. Then Sofia patiently waited to have enough mana before turning that into her blessed marrow construct. She had seen with the great shield just how sturdy the construct was. This would be an excellent way to prevent anything untoward from happening when the demon bird woke up, a kind of one-person prison. And finally, she got to work getting Perith up again, using the same skeleton he had once used when she was level 1. She didn't bother to enchant his bones or change the circle this time. He wouldn't stay in this boring old human skeleton for long anyway. She wanted to have him back as soon as possible. He appeared with his now usual bow, and Sofia felt safer. What now, she wondered, looking at the demon still sleeping inside her bone coffin. Do I wait for her to wake up? We can't talk, but there should still be ways to communicate with hand signs or drawings. Alternatively, I could throw her into the lake and be done with it. It doesn't feel fair, though. I don't think she attacked me of her own volition. I feel somewhat bad for the son of dread I killed before. Maybe he could have been saved unless this one was a special case. I can also leave her here and get out of this place, but what was the point of this whole fight then? Guess I'll wait until my mana is full and throw on a rune before she wakes up. In the end, Sofia was too bored and decided to pay the mana for the boxes first since the demon wasn't showing any signs of waking up anyway. The 3 boxes appeared near her after she paid, and she managed to see some mana movements as they arrived. Looks like teleportation magic. Let's see what I get. I could use an analysis scroll like Olith had. Congratulations! D rank draw. You won, pain relief pill, 10 minutes, *1. That's kind of useless, but why not? Congratulations! E rank draw. You won, warm socks *1. I suppose it's better than the E rank lensless glasses Olith got. Congratulations! A rank draw. You won, miner's flare scroll *1. A rank. Sofia exclaimed as she observed the scroll, now you have my attention. Chapter 152, Curse of Sorrow. Miner's Flare Scroll, infuse it with mana while holding a piece of mineral in your hand. This scroll will give you the precise location of this mineral's nearest unexploited natural vein. One-time use. It's pretty good. A bit random but good. A small vein of mithril is still a vein of mithril. There might be better minerals to search for, though. I don't know what's rarer than mithril, but it has to exist. I'll hold on to this for now. I could also use it to find some midenicite, which could lead to some interesting discoveries. Wait, speaking of locating midenicite. There was this device to locate the rings. Keyring Locator, a Keyring Locator. Infuse with mana to cycle the currently tracked ring. Item level, 0 grade, regular. I have never used it since. Let's see. That's mine. The next one should be Olitha's. Hey, it actually shows a direction, she must be on the human continent, then. The range limit is 1,000 kilometers if I remember the letter correctly. And that's it. The other 2 rings must be too far away. Sofia pocketed all of her things and got to actually put on a rune. After which, the avian was still sleeping, so Sofia decided to cook herself a meal. How long is she going to sleep? Sofia was done waiting. She got Perith to bring her the demon within the bone prison. Talking didn't wake her up, and neither did touching her head. She took out a water stone and used it to splash some water on the woman's head. It's working. Her eyes suddenly opened, her head jerking back, trembling. Sofia could swear she saw walls of runes flashing through the apostle's pupils for an instant. Then her eyes closed again. The demon stopped moving. She was no longer breathing. Fuck. Perith, heal. Sofia was scrambling to get a potion out of her ring while Perith used his greater he. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of curse leave 299. How long is she going to sleep? Sofia was done waiting. She got Perith to bring her the demon within the bone prison. Talking didn't wake her up, and neither did patting her head. She took out a water stone and used it to splash some water on the woman's face. It's working. Her eyes suddenly opened, her head jerking back, trembling. Sofia could swear she saw walls of runes flashing through the apostle's pupils for an instant. Then her eyes closed again. The demon stopped moving. She was no longer breathing. Fuck. Perith, heal. Reality collapsed. To Sofia, this was now an oddly familiar sight. The so-called sandwich of the planes, everything colliding together. The colored world turned white, that was the spiritual plane. Then it turned grey and distorted, the recessed plane. The next step was the eternal black, the void in which Zangdar resided. The margin. But it never came, the world was stuck in grey, and things moved, but they were oddly still. Sofia was surprised to realize she could still move. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of curse leave 299. How long is she going to sleep? Sofia couldn't wait anymore. She got Perith to bring her the demon within the bone prison. No matter what she tried, there was no waking her up. She took out a water stone and used it to splash some water on the woman's head. It's working. Her eyes suddenly opened, her head jerking back, trembling. Sofia could swear she saw walls of runes flashing through the apostle's pupils for an instant. Then her eyes closed again. The demon stopped moving. A piercing, visceral shout destroyed Sofia's eardrums. No, she had clearly understood the singular word being spoken. It had stopped everything like a giant's hand holding the world in its clutches. The planes collapsed, slowly, deliberately. Like the light slowly fading as one plunges deeper and deeper into an abyss. First white, then grey, th. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of curse leave 299. How long is she going? Sofia observed, deadly silent, the apostle on the ground. She froze. Her very thoughts were stifled. Yet, deep inside, she still had a hint of functioning consciousness. At that time, if her mana senses were more developed, she might have perceived a hint, a remnant of the magic circles making up the skill she had given up on earlier in this very dungeon, pristine essence. Something or someone was very hard at work to make sure it keeps running. Maybe it was her body's reflexes, like muscle memory with mana. Wasn't that the entire point of the skill system? I thought so when she had discovered I didn't need the system anymore to use Angel's Bolt, even if her version was weaker. If a passive skill was on all the time, wouldn't my body naturally learn it? A flash of light stopped her last wisps of consciousness dead in their tracks. The last thing she was a rift. A crack in space. A crack emitting energy so extreme, so violent, nothing could exist in its presence. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of curse leave 299. How long have I been here? In Sofia's brain, vibrant images of events unhappened collided with each other. Like clockwork, the image converged into one reality. She already knew what was coming next. But that was the extent of her knowledge. By the time she had organized her thoughts, it was too late. In the blink of an eye, the world turned grey and then back, leaving behind a crack, a fissure in space. The energy was unsurmountable, but while her rune activated, leaving nothing behind but a promise to bring her back 3 seconds later, she switched to Perith's eyes. Perith, looking at the scene from the opposite direction, could see inside the crack. A black, gnarly, and stubby clawed hand pushed its way through the CR. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of curse leave 299. How else Sofia's mithril dagger appeared in her hand, and Perith appeared in front of her, right in her reach, holding his head. Sofia severed his head with a dagger slice and punched it with her other fist, sending it flying away. The world froze. She switched to Perith's eyes. As Perith's head flew up, rotating on its axis, she saw the fissure opening in the rare instances that his vision was aligned with the scene. She witnessed reality being torn to shreds by 2 black hands, prying open space so that they could reach out and try to reach the apostle on the ground. An outcry accompanied it. A complaint. A desperate plea. Rage, dread, sorrow. Curses. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Ho! Sofia sat on the ground. She had exhausted her options. As sure as the sun rose in the morning, the desperate hands of Curse would force their way into the physical plane. They were burning and consuming themselves and everything around them. No matter how hard it tried, it could never reach the apostle. And then she died. Did this recessed refuse to accept that fate? What did the notions of time and space mean in the face of such an entity? No matter what they did, and they tried something slightly different every time, Evranerium line would always die after she opened her eyes. The splash of water hadn't mattered, even if Sofia did nothing, the demon would open her eyes and die all the same. Sofia had crazy ideas to attempt to save the demon, but in the 15 seconds she was powerless. She had tried running away, jumping into the rift, anything she could think of. But it always ended the same way. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Sofia had spent thousands of retries studying the unlife rune carved on her body. She wasn't willing to give up. But even that had come to a dead end. She could never examine the full cast of the spell. No matter what she tried, 15 seconds being her limit, the rest of the channeling remained a mystery. And even if she uncovered it all, it might not help. That's it. I give up. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Sofia fell to the ground and cried. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. There were no more thoughts that Sofia could think. She watched absent-mindedly as the world ended. Perith was still trying. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. The hands weren't getting weaker. They tried and tried again when even Perith had stopped. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Sofia called out to the lords. She had already tried many times. The gods. The recessed. Sorrow. Sunday. Ormancleith. Afinareth. Nobody answered her call. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Sofia had found her calm. She had been there for what felt like months, 15 seconds at a time. Now she was methodically exploring solutions, no matter how crazy. She had placed good hopes on getting a reaction when she attempted deleting Blessing of the Deep from her skills. But that had failed to produce any results. And the skill was back the next time, as it should be. For the first time, she wished that the Deep would react for her as it did for everyone else. Who else but the Deep could help her? You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Sofia was trying something new. At that point, it was more of a way to keep her mind occupied than anything else, but she made up names on the off chance that it may work. Names of the Deep. Ormancleith and Afinareth. There were two more. As far as she could tell, they were both 10 characters and ended in eth. There couldn't be too many different combinations of syllables one could make under these constraints. Either way, she had nothing else to do. Boravareth. Boravth. Boravth. Boraviyuth. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. It didn't feel too long anymore. Like a machine, she kept iterating through every possible name. Who knew how long she had been doing that? But if you asked her, it felt like she had barely started. Her memories of the previous attempts were all jumbled together. Now every start felt strangely fresh as if it were the first. Her logic said she had been there for years, but if you asked her, she was genuinely convinced it felt like an hour or two at most. She just kept going. She'd try again if she ran out of possible names, but maybe with 11 characters next time? She had loathed Curse. She had hated him for putting her through this. It had to be his hands. Now she only felt pity when the fissure opened in a slightly different spot every time. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse leave 299. Idrazokth. Idrajketh. 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 Idrazaketh. What just happened? Idrazaketh. For some reason, though she knew the world had gone back, it wasn't as it should be. There hadn't been a murder message. The hands hadn't even gotten time to appear. Idrazaketh. Oh, I got you now. Don't think I'll stop. Idrazaketh. Show yourself, Lord of the Deep. Edrazaketh. Time had gone back once more. Sofia had no time to open her mouth. Everything was black. She had a vision of a gigantic black circle. A circle surrounded by mana. A hand covered her eyes. Sofia stood in the cavern. Afinareth was there, bent over the avian apostle on the ground. With a single finger, he was pressing on the apostle's forehead. The crack in space appeared as it always did. For the first time, Sofia saw the Inquisitor move. Not teleport around. Move. He raised an open palm toward the emerging opening. The crack disappeared without a trace. And so did Sofia's consciousness, once again. Sofia opened her eyes. She failed to understand what was happening. I vaguely remember a hand. And a circle. And... Afinareth? What? Wait, wasn't I just going to wake up the bird? She was currently in a comfortable bed. One she recognized, that was the bed in the inn room she had been staying at for a whole month. Where she read all the books she could get her hands on in Huoaso, right after her conversation with Velour. How did I end up at the inn? What happened to the dungeon? The apostle? There was no doubt that she was currently at the inn in Huoaso. She could feel Paritha's presence on her left. He was in his first skeleton, watching over her from the bedside. Behind him, sprawled on a chair, was a certain avian demon, sleeping. How? There were two more strange things. Firstly, above the apostle's head, she saw Evranerium line, daughter of, LV 299. Sofia felt that something was wrong, but she didn't understand where this feeling came from. She frowned in frustration. It must be my imagination. She focused on the second strange thing instead. On her right hand, Sofia was wearing a black glove. A glove she had never seen before. Chapter 153, Softer than expected. The black lace glove had replaced the usual long white glove from the first trials set. It looked like a regular black lace glove, the kind noble ladies in mourning would wear. Inquisitor's apology: wearing this direct link to the Inquisitor will collapse conceptual probabilities. Cannot be damaged. Soulbound. I have no idea what this means. Can I get some help? Inquisitor's apology: never take it off if possible. Cannot be damaged. Soulbound. Alright then. Something's very wrong with this whole situation. Sofia stood up from the bed. She looked out the window. It was a sunny day in Huoaso, and people were busy walking the streets. As normal as could be. There's a logical explanation for all this. But I get blocked in my reflection somehow. Almost as if the system was censoring me. Sofia turned around, her blonde hair flying behind her, and she aimed her sight at the sleeping apostle of. Apostle of? Oh. That's a problem. Why is this getting censored out of all things? It's something I know. I've seen it. I know I did. I saw it. I see it. A line of text was imprinted in bold letters in Sofia's memory. You have murdered Evranerium line, daughter of Curse Leave 299. But how exactly? She looks very alive. She had to check her murder history to be sure. The line wasn't there. Daughter of Sofia acutely felt her mind go blank before she could think the last word. This is getting ridiculous. I can see the goddamn word in my memory. I'm not going down without a fight. Is this a joke? Sofia madly scrolled up her system logs. Ah. I fucking found it. What are you going to do about it? Maybe I shouldn't yell while at the inn. Ossifying ward, a curse ward. Creates a cursed zone in which flesh turns to stone. Cannot be cancelled once activated. The larger the ward, the weaker the effect. Lasts 30 minutes. Mana cost, 10,000 complexity, very high. Curse. Curse curse curse. That's right. Daughter of. Oh, this is pissing me off. Daughter of curses. So that works. The concept is fine, but the recessed is not? I'm sorry to say, Mr. Scribe, I don't know if you're the one consciously enforcing this, but it's the dumbest censoring I've ever heard of. Annalith gets some ridiculous stuff censored if I believe her. But that doesn't explain how I ended up here. The glove is an apology from Afinareth, or rather, from the Inquisitor. Why does he apologize? Come on. I need to remember. He was with me in the dungeon. Sofia felt that she was just about to remember everything at once, like it was right on the edge of her memory, needing only a slight push for it to come back. But it never came. Instead, she had to piece back up the events from the few images she managed to remember forcefully. Open eyes filled with runes. The plains changing. Black hands reaching out of a fissure. The cave, a lot of it. And the murder message. Then there was a singular image of Afinareth doing something to the avian apostle. Then she woke up there. Everything is repeated so much, like reading the same book multiple times but noticing different things on each subsequent read. I think I get what happened. Somewhat? I don't know. It's like... yeah, like I had been reading a book with an infinity of endings. But it was real life. I think that curses were trying to save the avian. But it couldn't? Is that it? Then the Inquisitor came and inquisitioned. Did he erase the recessed? Is that why it's censored? Like what Astelia described with the guy who disappeared. That's disturbing. Also, if that's what happened, are the recessed that weak? Or is the deep that strong? A lot of questions. As usual. Sofia let herself fall back onto her bed. The sheets smelled fresh and clean. She turned around as she kept analyzing what had happened. But I get that my fragmented memories are thanks to the remnants of pristine essence. I believe so, at least. I probably saved myself by deleting it. I don't know how long this lasted, but I might have gone crazy if I had to remember every second of all that. Well, crazier. I didn't even blink when I had to eat my beating heart out of my chest. It's a bit scary what I'm becoming. But I contemplated becoming a lich at one point, and I wasn't even out of the orphanage yet at the time, so... nothing new, really. Back to the main thing that started all of this, why did the apostle die? It said I killed her. Maybe the whole quest with the data transfer caused it. But seeing how the kill on the diviner still counted hours after I had left the Thromber nest, this isn't reliable evidence because I did beat the shit out of her while she was mutated. What worries me is whether the system is issuing disguised murder quests. I'm not too sure I like that possibility. At least right now, she's alive. And considering Afinareth brought her here with me, it's safe to say she can be an ally. So my theory that the whole explosion trap wasn't her doing to fuck me over is probably correct. The last question is, what is he apologizing for? Being late, I guess? It's not like he has a duty to save me. Well, either way, I appreciate it. Even if I don't understand the glove's description, I'll wear it. My guess is it's meant to prevent whatever happened from happening again. Some kind of protection against time magic? But time magic doesn't exist. Ah, whatever. What's done is done. The avian lives, and so do I. And I don't even have to go through the spirit forest again. In fact, I'm exactly where I need to be, and more than a week in advance if the date hasn't jumped. I should check this out, actually. There are no kill notifications from Alith, so I should still be on time. Sofia got up from the bed once again. She checked up on the avian demon. Seeing if she could wake her up, she lightly shook her shoulder. The demon was startled and jump-scared on the chair. Abba. Ab. Ah. Wahoo, oh. You woke up, she rejoiced with as radiant a smile as her demonic face could express. I woke up. Wait, she speaks the common language? I should be the one saying that. The system taught you the language. Yes, she affirmed, regaining her composure on the chair. Having said that, she stood up. She was a bit smaller than Sofia. Before Sofia could react, she held her in her arms in a tight hug. Her leathery skin was soft and warm. She held Sofia strongly enough that she couldn't move but not so much that it hurt her. Perith moved to protect Sofia, his weapon and armor appearing on him, but she held him back with a hand sign. The demon was crying. No, the woman was crying. Her face planted on Sofia's shoulder, and between two sobs, one could hear her sweet, shaky voice, "Thank you so much, thank you, thank you." Sofia could hardly move, but she managed to shift her arm to pat the avian's back. It's fine. It's over now. Welcome back to the free world. You don't have to say anything. I'll help you set your life back up if you want. It took a while before the avian calmed down. As Sofia knew, her apostle name was Evraneriumline, but her original name was Zire. She was apparently the most talented rune crafter of her generation. It had been hard to get details out of her. The memories were painful, but she had volunteered to explain even when Sofia insisted that it was unnecessary. Disaster had struck the avians. No matter what, Zire refused to say what disaster, which pushed their tribe to hide underground. However, the calamity loomed over their heads, and it became utterly unrealistic to survive for long. The tribe debated for weeks, but in the end, they decided to go for the ultimate sacrifice. They knew the curse apostle ritual. In a bid to preserve their knowledge, they decided to give up their lives to the ritual so that at least one of them had a chance to make it out. They had chosen Zire. She was against it, but they left her no choice. Her, a young level 250 rune crafter, had no power to oppose the decision of the tribe leaders. They shackled her to the altar. The trap around the altar was to dissuade anyone from trying to reverse the process. If all went as it should, she would turn apostle. After that, the tribe leaders, protected by a temporary charm, would free her from the shackles and the trap before they, too, fell to the after effects of the ritual and became stone. But they were not protected by their charm. Everyone but Zire turned to stone. She was left alone, shackled in the buried cathedral. After that, they also talked about how Zire's patron recessed was somehow censored, which she seemed unconcerned about, but also led to her sharing her basic status. Name, Zire Evranarium Line Kralin. Age, 2122. Class, Daughter of. Level, 299. Health, 358 560/358 560. Stamina, 358 560/358 560. Mana, 358 560/358 560. Her stats are worse than I thought. Chapter 154, Bragar fell. No, you have to prime it yourself, yes. Zire assured Sofia, her arms crossed before her. Why would that matter? The priming process has two goals. Not only does it charge it with a lot of mana, but it also rewrites the rituals to fit your natural flow. That's the most important part, yes. If someone charges it for you, it will be all wrong. That is going to take forever. The effects would never be as strong as they are if it wasn't done like that. I can prime it for you in about a month if you want, yes, but the priming effects would be a fifth of what they should at most, Zire explained. As a former rune crafter, she was very familiar with this relic of her tribe. She had closely studied it to try reproducing the effect. Sofia didn't like the thought of losing it, but she had offered to give it back since it was the only thing Zire had left from her tribe. But the avian refused. She wanted nothing from her savior. She was looking to repay Sofia one way or another. Sofia was shocked that someone who had been trapped for 2,000 years could still function so well. The avian apostle was sharp and surprisingly sane if easily flustered. Sofia thought it a bit insensitive to ask how that was possible, but she was too curious, so she couldn't help but hint at it during their conversation about the staff. You know, if you want to ask something, you can, yes. I will answer anything I can, I owe you at least this much, yes. She's a bit too wise to be tricked by something like this. Which is even more impressive considering that the last time she spoke to anyone before that was. Well, better be honest then. Sorry, I'm just impressed at how well you're doing. I would probably be going insane if I spent that much time trapped in place. Oh no, it was bad, awful. In the beginning, at least. I think I got used to it after a few hundred years, yes. I spent most of the time sleeping, mind you, but it was terribly frustrating. And boring. Zire walked around the room as she recounted the misery of her imprisonment, and it was only when the hope of getting out showed itself that I broke. That was a bit of a shameful display, no? You even stepped into the trap because of me. I know she said the yes and no's were a quirk of the avian language, but it's pretty distracting. I don't even know what to say, your mind is strong, much more than mine. And I'm already a special case. You say this because you haven't gone through the third trial, yes. Ah, you need to go for the second. Are you ready for it? The trials were already the same 2,000 years ago. Sofia asked, incredulous. Not that it was unbelievable, but that was such a long time. What seemed illogical was how unheard of were very high-level people considering how old the system seemed to be. Unless something prevents people from going higher than a certain point. The filters, then. Explains the name. Humans haven't made up a new calendar, have they? No? Is the year not 3211? No? They hadn't changed for 1,000 years before, so I don't think they would change after. Though I suppose they could, yes. 1,000 years before. Is the current year the age of the system? Sofia asked, shifting sitting positions on the bed while Zire kept walking around restlessly. You don't even know that, no? What did you think it was? It's the year the system was created, yes, Zire answered matter-of-factly. Sofia could hear her mumble afterward, the education level seems to have fallen with time, yes. I can't argue with that. The system is 3,000 years old then. That does explain the calendar year. It does feel like something that should be common knowledge. I'm starting to believe I need an extended stay at one of the magic academies. There's no way they wouldn't teach something that basic. Also. Created. Yes. I wasn't born then, but that is what I was taught, yes. The 3 admins created the system, changing the world in the year 0, yes. But, that is all I know. There is no need to ask for more, no. You say there are 3 admins? I once had a system message which said there was none. My tribe didn't know anything else. These were already old legends at the time, yes, but some of the older texts mentioned 3 admins creating the system. That was the only time I heard of them, yes. The conversation continued until late in the afternoon. It was a back and forth of Sofia getting information about the old world and Zire getting up to speed with the times. They discussed the first trial, which hadn't changed from the general theme to the location. It was all the same. Zire had recounted how her task had been to defend a coastal dwarven city during a goblin invasion coming from the sea. Sofia also discovered she wasn't the only one to get a gift from Afinareth. Zire had received something, too, a small string tied around her wrist meant to suppress her passive insanity aura until she learned to do it herself. Do you even need to eat? Sofia questioned, observing Zire, busy tracing a food cooking ritual inside an iron pot Sofia gave her. She had just returned to the inn's room after going out by herself to get the ingredients Zire had described for her Zay special while the demon had been busy taking her first bath in forever. Not really, no. But I haven't had anything to eat in 2,000 years, and I promised myself this would be the first thing I eat when I'm out, yes. Some of your replacement ingredients are a bit weird, yes, but they will be decent substitutes, I believe. I don't even understand what you are going to do with these, honestly. It's mostly fish with a few vegetables and a bag of rice. Seriously, what is she going to do with so many different fishes? The vendor looked at me really strangely and shook his head when I asked for a broggerfell, and then he gave me this weird ball of slime instead. What even is a broggerfell, and why did he look so disgusted? And why a runny ball of slime? And why can't I identify it? And why does she look so happy with it? Don't worry about it, no, it will be good. Let me tell you more about the second trial while I do this, yes, she answered with her whole head and right arm in the pot, her voice reverberating from inside. Sure, last time someone tried to say anything about it, they got censored by the system, though. I don't know if you can tell me much more. Tyrene did try her best, and she blanked a few times. I wonder where she is now, we could run into her if we search for the lich, it would be nice. I have my ways, yes. The second trial's name probably hasn't changed, no? I can't say it, but you should know. I know it's the ranking spire now. I have no clue if it has changed. Zire continued, her left arm searching blindly around the pot for one of the inscribing tools she had asked Sofia to make with her ability to shape bones. So, there are 2 parts to the trial, and you want to focus on keeping your strength for the second part, yes. I don't see a way that you could fail the first part, no, since you beat the mutated me back into shape. So make sure to be healthy and ready for the second part. That's interesting to know. Will it be long? The first part is not so much, no. The second part you want to be as long as possible, yes. Sofia hummed to indicate she understood and was waiting for more advice, but half a minute later, Zire was saying nothing, still scribbling a ritual inside the post with her head in it. That's it. Yes. No. Sorry, no, I was lost in my work. I don't believe I can say much more, no, but I can say this, go simultaneously with powerful people if possible, yes. It doesn't change much, but it will make it faster. At the same time? So it is not a solo thing like the first. Is there a risk that going with someone else might make them fail the trial? I wouldn't want that. The trial, no. Fewer rewards, maybe. But trials are fair. Everyone should have what they deserve. Who else is there is not that important of a matter, no. As I said, it will make it faster. That's all, yes. You can go with friends if they are strong. My tribe used to go in pairs, but it doesn't really matter, no. Zire popped her head out of the iron pot. I'm done. Now we can cook, yes. Chapter 155, Parath, 155%? Back in the civilized world, Sofia had checked the time and found out that she still had more than a week before the meet-up time with Alith. There were a few things to do before which she could get out of the way, like finding Zire some clothes. It was not that demons had to worry about being naked, but it could be problematic if she just strolled outside looking well, like a demon. Unsure what to do, she thought she could ask Velour for help, as she was the higher authority in the city. The Saintess wasn't there, she had left a bit after Sofia had and still hadn't returned. But Sofia still got to meet with a high priest at the Wind Temple. She had explained that as long as someone didn't steer trouble or inconvenience the population, they could as well be a goblin, and nobody in the city would care. Officially at least. So even the apostles were fine, but it was better if they hid their appearance. It was a bit of a pleasant surprise but not unexpected. Sofia had seen a lot of different non-human people out on the streets of Huoaso, at one point even a tall lady elf carrying a bunch of swords, but no demons yet. Toward the end of their short discussion, the High Priestess even assured her that the Saint Alliance included apostles in their ranks. After all, apostles had to pass the Saint trials. With that taken care of, Sofia also stopped by the local Vasparian embassy to see if there were news from Astelia, and there was. It was a simple letter dated 3 days back. To Sofia A. Hi. I have some quick news for you. Congratulations on your new citizenship, you could have asked to be a citizen of Vasparia, you know. I'm sure you would have had no trouble making friends here with your abilities. Anyway, I keep getting visions from Moon, which pesters me to go through my trial as soon as possible. I don't know why. But since you're progressing fast, I would like to go with you when you go, if you don't mind. If you agree, just send me a letter saying when and where you want to meet, and I'll be there soon after. Please don't feel rushed, though, I am not actually very eager to go. Leveling up now will only slow my growth further. Also, you may want to know that Uncle Cardinal is investigating the strange happenings in Skirich, something about a spreading curse. You will need to contact him yourself if you want to know more. You can send him a letter like you would for me. Lastly, our Saintess still has not shown any signs of life. I will keep you informed if that changes. I hope you liked my small gift last time, don't use them when there are other vampires around. You can keep the ring. Take care, friend. Astelia Glacier, Duke of Bremen. Sofia smiled as she folded the letter and stored it in her ring. She wrote a quick reply saying that she would love to have Astelia around for the trial and that she would go whenever she was ready. She expected that to be in a few months to half a year, but it could vary depending on her other traveling companions' plans. She also wrote a concise letter for Cardinal, not inquiring about the curse but telling him all she knew about it. She explained the presence of soul parasites and said she knew more but would only talk about it face to face. With that done, she left the embassy. She bought a bunch of stuff for Zire, including a small storage ring and some clothes. The avian was reluctant to accept more things from her savior. Still, she relented when Sofia pointed at the staff floating by itself in the middle of the room, waiting for Sofia to pick it back up. It was hovering above a small bone pedestal of sorts. Zire had covered it in ritual circles meant to further bind the item to Sofia. It would allow it to track her down and fly back to her if she lost it. Unsure what would even fit the avian demon, Sofia had bought a lot of different clothes. They were mainly from a beastman shop since they also had winged species. Zire went for a loose red silk garment with long flowing sleeves that could hide her wings. It was held together by a colorful sash bound around the waist. She wore that with a wide wooden hat that looked like a conical barrel lid that Sofia had bought as a joke but which Zire actually really liked. Zire now had all the tools to leave if she wanted to. She decided not to. Not only did she want to repay Sofia somehow, but she had admitted to having no plan for what to do past enjoying her favorite meal. She expected the world to have changed during her absence, and it did. Now that everyone she used to know was long dead, and having lost her old class, she wasn't especially interested in studying rituals anymore. I just want to enjoy life, yes. If you'll have me, I'm strong and can help out, yes? I might leave at some point to search for what's left of the other tribes. Until then, I would be happy to go with you and Skeleton Man. I don't mind, she's a strong bodyguard, and her personality is nice. She could be a lifesaver against bounty hunter attacks. Thinking about that, I should learn more about divination. What will Alith say about this new member, though? One thing at a time. Let's take care of Perith for now. Sure, but know that I move around a lot and usually get into an inordinately high amount of danger on a regular basis. Also, necromancy. That is not a problem, no. It's nice, and I want to move a lot now. And necromancy is just magic, yes, like cursing. There is no bad magic. Sofia and Zire flew north in search of the Stone Ogre tribe. The avian flew much better and faster than Sofia, which isn't a surprise. Sofia had explained how Perith worked and how she had hunted a stone ogre before. Zire was already familiar with stone ogres and wanted to try hunting an alpha with her new powers. She had been staring at her apostle abilities for 2,000 years without ever using them. She was rearing for a fight. Scholar or not, she was someone who had fought her way up to the 4th filter, and now she had a new and improved body with strong skills built in. Sofia was concerned that the alpha might be too big and unwieldy as a skeleton. But Zire swore it would be perfect for the next trial, so she trusted her. Also, the prospect of an even stronger Perith was quite exciting. Not only would the skeleton of the alpha be a colossal strength boost for Perith, but there was a good chance that Zire could help her improve the ritual to make him even stronger. They stopped high in the sky when they saw the first hints of the ogre tribe in the distance. Sofia was the first to talk. How do we do this? We don't know each other's skills. How do you usually fight? Yes. I either explode things in one hit from a distance, actually explosions. Or let Perith and the skeletons handle close combat. You have more skeletons? Zire asked as she had never seen or heard of the book. Yes, they're just not permanent. Some of them also take less damage when lit by the Sunday. Oh, interesting, yes, that will be strong in some parts of the next trial. But for now, do the explosion from a distance, and I will go in after. You can do what you want, but I would like to fight the alpha alone. Also, the skeletons can get close, but it could be dangerous for you, so stay at least 500 meters away. Some of my curses don't make the difference between enemies and allies, I think. That's fine. Are you sure you can handle the alpha? He could be above 300. Not sure, no. But I won't die, Zire finished, taking off her clothes. She doesn't want to damage them. I guess I did go around naked, too, as a demon. Not like a demon needs clothes with all the big scales, and in her case, the feather-shaped things. It was still day, so Sofia started by summoning the 25 paladins and spreading them around the ogre tribe in 5 groups. They would be here primarily to bait the females and the alpha's sons away from the alpha. That would give plenty of space for Zire to fight. Of course, Sofia made sure to remind Zire that she needed the alpha's skeleton intact. With their battle plan ready, Sofia started to channel 2 bolts. Zire watched aghast as the attacks formed and then exploded into the ogre tribe, even forgetting that she was meant to start fighting then. Instead, she felt compelled to comment while watching the ensuing chaos. You weren't joking about the explosions, no. How many times can you do that exactly? Chapter 156, Not Rusty. After her initial surprise at the Angel's Bolt S, Zire joined the fight. Sofia observed her and understood why the avian apostle's stats were lower than her own demon form's expected stats at the same level. Sofia's demon form was built for close combat, her stats were immensely high, so much so that at the same level, she expected it to have twice Zire's stats. Her 5 skills, strong as they were, occupied a relatively tiny portion of each of her limbs. Most of the vein circuits in her demon form body were there only for one thing, physical enhancement. Zire was different. She had no physical enhancement. Her whole body was the engine for her skills, and they were devastating. Sofia was glad she had fought with the mutated form of Zire in the cave because it had been dumb as a brick and only used 1 spell. She wouldn't have survived a minute in an encounter with the real thing. She watched as the magic rained down on the stone ogres. The sort of black balls of mana Zire threw around by volleys of 10 left not only deep holes into anything they touched but also carried many curses. Some would leave behind a cloud of petrification mist. Some others left behind black flames that seemed to be inextinguishable. Most of the ogre females had died during the initial assault. The Alpha's sons were each held up by a group of immortal skeleton paladins, and the Alpha himself was the target of Zirei when she didn't suddenly turn to curse one of its sons to death with a shower of black balls. Sofia didn't idly watch during the fight, instead, she directed Perith and the paladins from the sky and ensured they could navigate the battlefield as efficiently as possible. One by one, the sons fell, and soon only the Alpha remained. He was constantly harassed by the flying demon, which moved much too nimbly for him to hit with his stone magic. Still, the 5 meters tall Alpha was like a mountain given life. There was no end to his life force, and his attacks, if slow, were devastating. They tore holes through the nearby hills as he missed Zirei by a hair's breadth. Sometimes Zirei's attacks missed and hit the ground, leaving behind some black goo. Paladins retreated from the fight. They could do nothing to help at this point besides casting enhancement magic on Zirei. Sofia instead had them gather and secure the dead ogres in a safe zone where Sofia could pick them up. Perith stood as far as possible from the action, barely in range to keep sanctified grounds running. Do I throw more lightning? The battle continued, and Zirei was starting to fly slower. What were previously elegant aerial dodges turned into a fierce struggle. The Alpha, on the other hand, didn't seem to suffer at all despite the evident damage to his body. But Sofia decided to keep watching and not intervene. Zirei still hadn't been touched a single time. She could also tell Zirei still had a hidden card up her sleeves. So far, she had only used 4 skills. First were the cursed black balls. There was also the petrifying shriek that her mutated form used. The third skill was a short-lived flaming black sphere that surrounded her sometimes and would explode in the face of the Alpha if it touched it. Lastly was a skill that teleported her behind the Alpha's back, which seemed to have a long cooldown as she had only used it twice. Each of these skills carried potent curses, even the teleportations would leave behind space disturbances that could likely dice up anyone too weak that went near them. But if she followed the logic that all apostles had 5 main skills as she did, then there was one left. Curses filled the air as Zirei narrowly avoided a flying boulder for the 100th time. Sofia took more altitude and narrowed her eyes as she saw something interesting that could only be seen from above. The missed attacks from Zirei weren't missed at all. The black goo they left on the ground was sticky and harmful when the Alpha stepped on them, but that wasn't the main point. The missed attacks were slowly drawing a huge ritual circle amidst the battlefield. It was a very simple one, similar to the sun's generosity. Zirei missed one last attack, leaving more black goo on the ground. Then she turned toward Perith and grabbed him with her talons as she flew over, fleeing the fight. Looking around, she saw Sofia, their gaze met. Dropping Perith out of the circle, Zirei turned to face the Alpha, who was hot on her tail. The demon pressed her palms together. Sofia saw all of Zirei's mana leaving her body. The circle of black goo was complete, and the ogre hadn't stepped out yet. Sofia heard a loud and low sound, like a singular beating from a giant heart. The mana in the area defined by the circle of black goo collapsed onto the ogre's head. The Alpha ogre's movements stopped, and he fell back, crashing into the ground. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's dead. As if to confirm her thoughts, a system notification appeared. Your party has defeated Alpha Stone Ogre, leave 317. All the wasted experience. Sofia flew down to Zirei's level. My powers are quite good, yes. It was almost worth the wait. That was impressive. Can I ask what that last skill was? Yes? I don't need to share the whole thing, the name should be plenty, look, yes. Curse of the Unborn Soul. That. Erased his soul. It does that, yes. It also lets me steal a passive skill with levels if the soul is stronger than mine, yes, she added, performing a strange pose that Sofia thought might be an avian way of celebrating victories or something along those lines. Or it's just that her back hurts real bad. So you stole a skill from this one? Does it take up a slot? The skill gives 5 classless slots that can only be filled with it, yes. I got a good skill out of it, yes. Tireless, ignore all tiredness from stamina or health loss as long as you have more than 10%, 110, skill level, minimum 90, of your total stamina left. Oh, that's one of the skills me and Alith could have taken. It's pretty strong and level 100 already. That explains why the ogre never slowed down. That's a good one. Did you get to choose? No, it is random. But I am delighted with it, yes. Great for you. What do we do with the corpse now? Do you need any part of it? I only need the skeleton. I don't want anything, no. I have no worries about money, what I have seen in the city tells me my rune crafting is still a precious skill, yes. And stone ogre parts shouldn't be worth anything anyway. Thank you for your hard work, then. Let's give Perith his new body. Let's do it, yes. Zire was very enthusiastic about it. But her expression changed when she saw Sofia take out a set of big knives. Say, Sofia. You aren't planning to take the bones out before the ritual, no. Sofia had explained Perith worked with a special ritual, but that was the extent of Zire's knowledge of that. I am. I need only the skeleton, the ritual won't work otherwise. And you usually do that by hand? Asked Zire, reeling back with her eyes wide in horror. That is so inefficient. Well yeah, but what else am I going to do? Bury it and wait for the worms to clean it? Sofia asked back while she sharpened her big knives with her mithril dagger. And here I thought I was the one with 2,000 years to catch up to. No, this is all wrong. Let me do it. Zire, exasperated, shooed Sofia away and Perith away. Watch and learn, yes. Zire used her talons to draw a large ritual circle on the flattest patch of ground she found nearby. You need to remember the details, especially the main module in the middle, yes? It's a bit complex, so copy it on a tablet if you have that, yes. A bit complex? Yeah, that's almost as bad as Perith's circle. I'm scared of what's considered very complex. This is a decay ritual. It is great for making quick fertilizer or getting rid of evidence, yes. Only works on an already dead corpse. Getting rid of evidence. Don't ask, no. Long gone anyway. So, great ritual, it leaves the hide and skeleton intact. There is a small issue, however, yes. It smells like a goblin's ass. Sofia's pen stopped on her page. Then she sped up the copying while slightly starting to fly up. Zire stopped, too, staring at Sofia. This is for you, yes, so stop acting like a fledgling and bring the ogre here if you are done copying the main module. Chapter 157, Visual Effects. The ogre was so heavy that it took the help of the paladin squad to move him into the ritual circle. The smell of the decaying ogre was worse than Sofia could have ever imagined. But the ritual worked as advertised. After 10 minutes, it left behind a clean, if putrid, skeleton with loose skin around it and in a pile of dirt. Sofia had to plug her nose and hold her breath just to avoid fainting. She got the paladins to bring the bones out and washed them with copious amounts of summoned blood. Now it's all you, no? I can try to improve your ritual, but I'll need you to draw it on paper first. You said you already modified it, no? Zire asked. Her actual field of expertise was enchanted items, but she was still confident enough to tinker with a necromancy ritual. It would be nice if you can improve it, especially if I can change the conditions for it to work, like being able to merge bones from different races. Should I draw the basic ritual or the one I revamped? It's better if you can draw both. I can maybe start from where you left off, but it would make things easier to see the base as well, yes. Alright, give me a minute. Sofia dumped some bones from her storage and shaped them to form a table and 2 chairs. I'll be able to empty my ring of all the useless furniture, no need to bother when I can make it myself. I should keep the bedding, though. Sitting at her table, she carved the ritual circles directly in it with her fingertips. I love this. Sofia started with the unchanged ritual from the grimoire, Zire commented as she saw it take shape. Many complementary modules, yes. Interesting. Recursive puppeteering modules. I can already see some things you can get rid of. Perith is always the same soul, yes? No need to keep the soul crafting array then, that will make the whole thing much simpler, yes. Sofia gave a piece of charcoal to Zire so that she could draw over the white table. She immediately started crossing out whole modules and connections between them, and Sofia hadn't even started drawing the main module at the center. Do you need to give orders like with a golem? It doesn't look like it, no. No need, Perith can fight even if I give no order. Oh, good. Yes, very good, we can get rid of all this whole part then, Zire enthusiastically said as she crossed out a good quarter of the modules Sofia had drawn up until then. She explained, these parts were essentially golem-making puppeteering modules, no need for them, yes. It was exciting new ideas but also, in your case, very useless, yes. So she's discovering new things right now? Well, this was written by scripture. I suppose he could have come up with a thing or two. A piece of shit god is still a god, Sofia refocused on finishing the small modules, but Zire had stopped paying attention. Instead, she approached Perith. Can I have a bone? Yes. Perith didn't answer. Sofia, can I have Perith's bones? Sure, but why? I'll show you something interesting, yes. Go ahead. Give me your femur, please, yes. Perith sat down on the grass and plucked out his left leg, handing the femur to Zire while the lower leg and foot bones fell like a bunch of debris. Sofia was busy carving the ritual but still sent some healing Perith's way to regrow the leg. No longer attached to Perith, the bone had returned to a human bone's relative strength, which Zire could easily slice open with her hands' small claw-like nails. She split open the femur following its length, revealing the cross-section of the empty bone. Proudly, she brought it up to Sofia. I already knew they were empty if that is what you're trying to say, Sofia reacted, confused and having lost her focus on the ritual drawing. That's not it, no. Do you have smooth high-quality paper? Sofia took out her notebook, which was probably the highest quality paper she had. That will do. Give me a page, yes. Zire rubbed a knuckle on the charcoal she had used to draw. She delicately smothered the inside of the bone with it and pressed the paper tightly against the blackened area. Then she handed the paper to Sofia. That's squiggly lines? No. Are those all small ritual circles and lines of runes? Of this scale? And it's been inside Perith the whole time? Is that how skeletons work? What is it? It looks like tiny ritual circles. That's what it is, yes. Necromancy is a clever association of soul magic and golem magic. What you are seeing are the many coherent sub-rituals allowing it to function. It's extremely advanced rune crafting. That makes sense, I suppose, though it was never explained like that. I thought that it had more to do with the concepts of life and death, but this is a more practical way to animate a skeleton. Sofia took a closer look directly at the inside of the femur, but it was hard to discern anything, the lines were too narrow and shallow. Zire left the bone to Sofia and returned to the table, walking around it and sometimes bending over the ritual circle with her hands on the table to examine the modules. Why I can sew so deep inside her cleavage? Why does it look so indecent when she has clothes and not at all when she doesn't? Do I look like that when I bend over with the princess dress? Maybe I should try to wear tighter clothes. Then again, I can't really hide, it sticks out so much even when I wear the armor, so yet. It's the whole reason I'm using the whip more than the sword, too, pretty annoying. Whatever, I better get back to drawing. Sofia finished the outer circles of the ritual and started drawing the inner module. Zire explained that this should be the part responsible for the engraving inside the bones, which were much too complex to be inscribed only by the sub-modules. However, the more Sofia carved into the table, the less confident Zire looked. Say, Sofia, this. You're sure this is correct? Yes. Yes, it all looks correct for now. I've drawn it so many times I cannot mess it up anymore. I see. Well, continue. I will explain when you're done, yes. Zire paid renewed attention to every line Sofia carved now, frowning more and more often until. When Sofia traced the last few lines, Zire reeled back in shock, a hand on her forehead, and started laughing. Is there something funny? What is going on? Ahaha. Let me explain. I've never seen this. This is a masterpiece. Zire colored a series of lines inside the busy central module. Amidst the mess of runes and lines, the grooves colored in black formed the image of a closed book and a lit candle. I've never seen this. How? This, Zire exclaimed pompously, is knowledge's rune. She said before breaking into laughter again. Is knowledge, the god, doing all the hard labor of the ritual? Yet again, scripture taking shit that isn't his? I cannot say I am surprised. But knowledge, out of all gods? Not death or life, knowledge? Pretty much, yes. If you wanted the main module to do it, it would have had to be 50 times finer and more detailed. This is nowhere near the level of complexity such an advanced array of magic requires, no. So, can I erase everything else? Does that mean the ritual can't be improved substantially because the main module is inaccessible? Well, yes to both questions, but you might be interested in knowing what the rest of the runes in there do. Yes. They actually do something. Yes. Theatrics. Sound, light, choreography. They make the ritual look pretty. So it's a waste of mana. Yes. But a pretty waste of mana. She insisted on the word pretty. I don't feel like drawing my own version anymore. I'll show you what I changed on the side. You tell me what you think. Zire nodded along as Sofia explained her changes, and she devised a complete plan to enhance Paritha's ritual. So, you can remove the theatrics from the main module. It's all about knowledge's rune anyway. But you cannot add anything there relevant to the ritual's real long-term effect. That has to all fit in the simple outer modules. Do you follow so far? Yes. I get it, so we remove the useless stuff and change the outer modules. How much can we fit in there? Chapter 158, The Issue with Ritual Tattoos. Sofia was waiting for Zire's answer. She seemed to be pondering on the question. Can I have every significant bone get the physical resistance enchantment this time and not just the arms and skull? I still haven't told her about the sun's generosity ritual we must include in either. I shouldn't divulge it to anyone, but I can't not use it on the strongest skeleton I've found yet. Velour showed it to me first, anyway. She gets the blame. Theoretically, we can fit as much as we want, yes. But in fact, not much more than there was already, no. From how the whole thing is built, I can tell that the God's rune will only accept so much. So what we can do is redirect the mana from trashed modules but not add much more. We can get Parith some 20 or 30,000 bonus health or stamina if you want. Or strength, or about half of that directly as mana. But the best bet, in my opinion as a rune crafter, is to treat this like a specialized piece of equipment. And by that, I mean add as many enhancement enchantments as possible. That's great, but last time, when I tried that, the enchantments only applied to one bone each for every module I drew. We cannot avoid that, no. That is why I have two propositions. Zire proclaimed, enthusiastically brandishing her piece of charcoal. I'm listening. Yes. So either we pack a big aura effect on each plate of the pelvic bone, which is the place with the most practicable area to draw fine rituals. Or, we choose one of the femurs since they are the sturdiest. And we enchant it with as much protection as possible to make it very hard for him to die completely, so that you can always heal him back from his last bone. The second idea is interesting, but the facial part of the skull is the bone that takes priority to be his main body if pieces are detached. So if we do that, if, for example, his lower body gets blown off, the femur might survive, but it won't be part of his body anymore since it will be whatever is still attached to the head. Then we enchant that instead, it can still work. But it might be hard to redo it on a skeleton with a smaller skull, yes. We can only inscribe so precisely at these sizes. I like the idea. I don't want to lose this giant skeleton to an explosion like the last one. I have plenty of smaller ones from the Suns to use as spares now, but it's not the same as the Alphas. Sofia couldn't decide, what about the aura effects you spoke about? Zire counted on her fingers, I have, 3, 4 rituals that could work for this, but we can only fit 2, one on each side of the pelvis. There isn't enough mana for more anyway. Can we make a single one twice as strong with double the mana? That is not how it works, sadly, no. But these are very special rituals anyway, no need to worry about it. What about the modifying or fusion of bones? Cannot work, no. There are very high chances that it would cause problems with the soul, and I presume you do not want that. So my tests back then really were dangerous for him. I ought to research these topics better before I harm someone attempting something dumb. Can I see the aura rituals then? Of course, where do I draw them? I can extend the table. Sofia watched as Zire drew 4 very complex ritual circles. She pointed at each of them, explaining what they did. These were all old avian crafts, meticulously optimized for the best cost-to-effect ratio. Their structure was self-adjusting to grow along with the wearer's mana regeneration, as these were originally meant to be used as body modifications. I never saw anyone use anything like this. But it makes sense. We are objects which can be enchanted. I wonder how that works with your body getting destroyed and healed back. I'll ask her later. The first and simplest aura ritual was a mana-fueled fighting sense. All it did was continuously fire some of the wearer's mana in orbit around them and return the information when it hit something. The actual range was relatively short, only a few meters, but that more than performed its function of giving vision of enemies and projectiles behind you. Interesting, but not very impressive. Parith has good spatial awareness, and I'm usually there to give additional information. I'll still consider it, though. Fast reading reached level 53. Nice. The second was akin to the Apostle's auras, but the effect was intimidation. Unlike the others, it could be turned on and off at will, but it also affected allies. The third ritual was one to lessen elemental resistance, which helped move, fly, and swim much faster. Something all adult avians used despite the high mana cost, Ziray had added to her explanation. It didn't make one weaker against the elements, as the name might suggest. It only helped move through them with ease. And the fourth and final ritual Ziray had was one to help young avians learn to fly, which allowed them to take a few soft steps mid-air, useful to stop a fall or gain some altitude. This one works by storing the mana for when you need it. It takes a while to recharge and cannot be made faster, but it could be useful considering how heavy the ogre is. That's an effect copied from some furred animal, isn't it? A merchant tried to sell me boots with exactly this effect before. Sokyavas are still around? They're big furred flying animals, yes. Do they make boots out of them now? That's kind of sad. Sokyavas are cute and cuddly. We never hunted them, no. Interesting. I'd like to see them too. And yes, this ritual was designed by studying their natural magic. Anyway, this ritual would be able to let a big ogre do that, too, yes, which I doubt any enchanted boots could do. Not if they're weaker than the primed staff, at least. How high is the mana cost for each of them? The combat sense uses about 5% of your regeneration. The intimidation is 1% when inactive and 10% when active. The air resistance is around 30%, but it's very worth the cost, yes, especially when your mana regeneration is high enough. It can also shield you from harmful fumes and things like those. And, the flight steps are about 20% until they're charged, then 1% while charged. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but these are a bit underwhelming. There are only 4. Though I suppose these are like extra passive skills, which is impressive. Are they hard to design? Ziray sounded deflated that Sofia's opinion of her rituals was so low. There used to be a few more, but I hadn't learned them yet. The combat sense is my design, by the way. Sorry, I did. Don't worry, Sofia, I know. If I'm going to be honest, this was an abandoned research path, and for good reasons. Externally applying enchantments on someone with a soul and their own mana signature is much more complex than slapping them on an item and being done with it. Not only are these extremely hard to design, but they also hinder your mana regeneration. If the one to lessen air resistance hadn't been such a huge breakout success for our race, no one would have even bothered to try making more. It's not that bad. I'm considering them over the other option too. And you should, for all their problems, these are still like additional passive skills, yes. But in the end, they were a mostly failed project. Sofia pondered over each combination and their costs. Is mana regeneration a big issue in the second trial? It can be a limiting factor, yes. Do you want to choose yourself, Parith? Of course, the skeleton didn't answer. Sofia was a bit annoyed, but contrary to her expectations, he moved. He pointed at Sofia. I should be the one to choose? They're for you, though. Let's go with the combat sense and the air steps, then. This should be the most lightweight but still a good combination, only 6% most of the time is not too bad. And Parith has had trouble with projectiles coming from behind before. Flying enemies are a problem too, so hopefully, the air steps can help with that. Ziray's face lit up when she heard Sofia's choices. Let's do it, yes. We only have one alpha ogre, so we can't mess it up. I'll engrave them for you. Let me do all the work, yes. Chapter 159, Ogre Parith v2. Ziray's work on carving the runes on Parith and adapting the new ritual was spectacular. The new ritual was much simpler and included both new aura skills, the sun's ritual, and even the 7 durability enhancement enchantments that Sofia had put in there the last time. So it was a perfect upgrade with no downsides besides the slight hit on Parith's mana regeneration. That's it, yes. The ritual is as full as can be, anymore, and it will be much too unstable. It's already a lot. The ritual circle was carved on a giant bone slate, so Sofia could store that to reuse later. Her skeletons brought the bones to the center of the enormous ritual circle. This was a genuinely huge ritual circle. The deep grooves would require much more blood to activate than usual. Probably almost as much as she could summon in total. Summon blood, summons liquid human blood anywhere in an 85 meters, 1 * skill level, radius from the Saintess, must be free space. The quantity of blood summoned this way is, 1 skill level mana spent, milliliters. I have 89,000 mana, so that's 7,500 liters? That sounds like a considerable amount, but I know from experience that it's surprisingly not that big in terms of volume. Should still do the job, though, but I have to be fast and precise about it. Actually, I should elevate the borders of the bone slate to prevent spillage. No reason not to. It took almost all her mana to fill up the whole thing. Zire, even having been told about the skill, was still surprised that Sofia had a permanent creation skill, especially for something as complex as blood. She watched from the side, fascinated. Summon blood reached level 86. Summon blood reached level 87. Sofia dismissed the usual error message and agreed to summon this new hero. Paratha's current skeleton fell to the ground as he left that shell behind, and the alpha's bones rose messily to find their place. It does look a lot less impressive without the aesthetic parts of the ritual. She didn't want to ruin the surprise this time, so she didn't watch the health points climb. Instead, she savored the satisfaction of watching the skeleton reassemble itself. She had good hopes that it would be ridiculous. The alpha's skeleton was much heavier than the one she had used before. It was an entirely different order of magnitude. And she now knew how abusable Paratha's blessing of bloating was. She remembered Ogre Parath version 1's stats. On the day of the summoning, it had been 65,000 health, turning to 190,000 in sanctified grounds. The levels since then had inflated that number a bit, but not much. Most of it came from the blessing, and his weight hadn't changed. Well, until he returned to his old human skeleton and became frail again. How much of a battle titan will you become? The bones finished assembling, the horned skull finally finding its way atop the spiked spine. Name, Parath level, 199. Health, 407 460/407 460. Stamina, 154 133/154 133. Mana, 19,900/19,900. Sofia stared silently at the numbers. The insanity of those numbers. That's more than twice as much health as I had in my demon form. That is more than Zaire has. Without the buff. Go on. Do it. Lords Almighty. She couldn't contain a nervous chuckle. Zaire looked up at the humongous Parath and the halo above his skull. It's almost more impressive than when it was alive. Parath kneeled toward Sofia as he activated his armor and sword. Correction, it's much more impressive, yes. She looked at Sofia, who still hadn't said a single thing. Is everything all right? Yes. Sofia didn't answer. She just shared Paratha's status. Zaire was struck dumb by the numbers. Name, Parath level, 199. Health, 189 783/189 783. Stamina, 450 068/450 068. Mana, 19,820/19,900. She recovered fast, as expected of someone her level. Her wooden hat fell as she shouted, "Godly! Fucking shit! By the feather of the King Magi in his sacred tomb! What have we created?" Standing in Paratha's shadow, looking up at his radiant halo whose light superseded the sun's, Sofia answered. "An eclipse. You will break the trial. That much. You have no idea what a million health represents, do you? Well, I still need to make sure everything else is ready. Just a lot of health isn't going to do everything. I have a few ideas if you are willing to listen." Zaire was gradually losing her mind as Sofia explained her plans. Her past passion as a craftsman was waking up as she contemplated the ludicrous ideas Sofia had. "Let's do it. Yes. Yes. Let's do it. We'll break the trial. History will be made. The impossible made possible. I am not too sure I follow, but sure, I guess that means you approve of my ideas. They're good, right? I've had a while to ponder over these, so. You have no idea what you're getting into. The second trial is special. I can't say more, but yet. You will understand when you get there. Ahaha. Yes yes yes. Speaking of special, what about specialization? Did you get one? Can we have more than one? I have one, yes, a passive one. Unlike my other class skills, it stayed even after the demonic transformation. But it's a secret. Maybe I'll show you one day, yes. And you can have up to one per category of active, passive, and classless. Classless too? They're also trial rewards. They all are, rewards for incredible feats. I got mine for going through my first trial with every single dwarf surviving the goblin invasion, Zire boasted. But Sofia had never seen a real goblin, so it lacked the punch it should have had. That does sound impressive. You don't sound so impressed, no. What was yours for? Killed a level 299 mage. You what? No, you know, let's not talk about it. Whatever. From now on, I'm no longer friendly Zire you just rescued from the world's darkest pimple. I'm now your official second trial coach. I can't tell you any more details about it, but I'll ensure you get that second specialization, if not more. Sofia didn't mind, she was going to train either way. To have Zire actively helping could only make it go faster. No matter what, she is skilled. I saw what happened to that alpha ogre, she wasn't hit once. Where do we start? Lay out the skills you still need to level up, their current level, and the skills that are stuck. Sofia didn't mind sharing some more information about her skills. The ones still need leveling were, Spine of the Black Sun at level 122, Heal Undead at level 64, Summon Blood at level 87, Graveyard of the Righteous at level 108. Of course, there was also the Venerable Physique of Primeval Void, which she mentioned without showing a description, but explaining that it was a skill with unusual training methods. Zire took notes and gradually formed a plan. We have a lot to do. You said your teammate is coming in a few days, yes. She will be here in 5 days if everything goes well. She's at my level. I haven't seen her in some months. Alright, then, first off, how much vertical space do you need for Heal Undead to work? About 10 meters. Let's get out of the city. I'll need you to show me. Sofia used her heal continuously while Zire walked around her in the grass, observing her closely. You can stop. I have all the data I need. To make it short, no need to train this skill. You can easily learn it wild and maybe even remove the height restriction, or at least change it to a depth restriction. Depth. Cast it against a wall. Then, you won't need a 10-meter height, but a 10-meter horizontal distance in any direction. That could work. It will, yes. And you can better regulate the healing output with it wild. It will be useless to heal Perith now, that would cost too much, but you can heal the temporary ones like this. Got it. I don't have a good skill to replace it with for now, so I won't get rid of it now. And what do I train then? I was thinking of the VPPV first since it has multiple stages. Zire nodded, but she suggested something else. We can do that when your teammate is here. Right now, I want you to use all your mana on Summon Blood. Why Summon Blood? It's the fastest to dump your mana into. And we're going to be on the move. We'll use these 5 days to fill up your book. You should already put the ogres in there. And next, we go for your plan with rats. I think it's a great idea. 5 days later, Sofia was shocked at her progress in such a short time. The number of pages in the skeleton book had almost doubled, Summon Blood had reached level 108, and Sanctity had capped out at level 100. She was also learning to fly much better than she used to, simply by virtue of mimicking Zire's fluid aerial maneuvers. Sofia looked at the Zangdar ring locator. The needle was moving fast, pointing toward the large boulevard they came from, and it stopped. She was waiting at a roadside open terrace with Zire sipping on a cold glass of opera juice under her wide wooden hat. 3 familiar figures came out of a side street, walking beside each other. Hero, LV.199. Hero, LV.199. Supporter, LV.99. Chapter 160, Alith, Confectioner. So they survived. Sofia raised a hand and waved to draw their attention. We're going to need more chairs. Alith didn't notice, but Zero did. It was he, the hero pirate, or the former pirate. He came along with Crane, the bosun. They were dressed much better than they had been on the pirate ship and looked like regular middle-of-the-road nobles. So long as you don't look too closely. Alith was dressed the same as before, with black boots, long baggy pants, and doppel, her long black hair flowing freely behind her. Zero passed the message around, and Alith finally noticed Sofia and waved back with a warm smile. "If it isn't my favorite hull breaker!" Zero hollered as he came closer. His smile seemed sincere despite the accusatory words. Alith kicked him in the ankle, frowning. "Ouch, calm down, you triple brat. It's a joke, it. I did blow the ship, though. And killed 4 of the sailors. I'm sorry about that, my con," Sofia started, but Zero interrupted. "Don't worry, hey, I appreciate it, but you did what you had to do. Tell you what, if you didn't kill that damn siren when you did, the whole crew, myself included, would have been down under by now, so no need to be sorry. Unless you're pissed we're still alive." Seeing only one free chair left at the table, he pulled it back for Alith and summoned his own 2 chairs made of gnarly raw wood for himself and Crane. Sofia doubted if she had ever seen Alith look so happy as she sat on the chair. She looked Sofia in the eyes with a huge smile. "I'm back." The immediate discussion was a lot of presentations because Zire only knew Sofia, and no one else knew her. The former pirates seemed unimpressed at the demon's appearance and level, and before long, they found common grounds. Before they knew it, Zero, Crane, and Zire were in a heated discussion about the best tasting fish. Leaving Sofia and Alith to catch up on their own side of the table. "So, a lot of things happened while I wasn't with you. I have to say, Sof, the kill notifications were worrying. I questioned calling our meeting early several times and only didn't because you never used the emergency signal. Right, there was that, cutting the scribe link. Well, I never needed to absolutely regroup. I could have used some moral support for sure. But that's not her strong suit. Very long story, I'll explain later in a quieter place. But hey, at least we leveled up fast. Very fast. I was feeling rushed all the time with how fast it went. You very nearly killed me with the fire seer thing kill too. 34 levels at once. I almost blew up the entire workshop. Workshop? Also, wasn't it 33 levels? 33, 34, who cares? All you have to know is I was on the ground rolling in pain with a very reactive pack of explosive powder in my hand. Could have ended very badly. What were you doing with explosives anyway? In fact, what did you do? Because I sure did things, but at least you could guess with my kills. You, on the other hand. I have no idea what you did, nor why you're with Zero and Crane, for that matter. Well, I could go into detail. Or I could show you. When you were busy raising our levels and accepting ridiculous quests. Yes, I saw that, by the way, and I really need an explanation. I was hard at work to contribute to our power. And here is the result. A small brown marble appeared in the palm of Alitha's hand. This is it. You see, I was learning the basics of the world's alchemy from Crane, it's very interesting. And Crane learned from his father, so we teleport to his workshop on the Beastman continent, and this is where I was most of the time. Now, go on, identify it. Minor health candy, the crystallization of 3 heroes' passion for using plants in all the wrong ways. Consume to gain 500 maximum health. Will no longer work after 10 uses. Don't choke. Sofia blinked several times. How? As far as she knew from her research, only the system Gachapin could issue the stat pills. That was it. And they were soulbound system items, too, so there was no selling them. The only ways to gain stats were class changes, level UPS, trial rewards, Gachapin rewards, and skill effects. Nothing more, nothing less. Or so everyone thought. Eating 10 of those would almost double her health. Pretty impressive, right? And that's not all. Alith boasted, closing her hand and reopening it to showcase many different types of small spherical candy. There's more. Well, yeah, I have another stat. Then the regular potions, we also did some special ones and... Are you sure you should discuss that in public? Says the winged girl out and about with a demon. It's fine, probably. But don't read the description out loud, alright? It's nothing but candy. Right. Just candy that gives tens of levels worth of stats, nothing big. Alith summoned a rectangular box, blowing off the sand on it. More candy? Sofia asked. No, can't store those in the sand, these are my snacks. The bunch out there is making me hungry, talking about grilled fish. Want some? She offered, revealing the box's contents, heaps of minuscule dried fish. That's relieving. Did she become a master alchemist in such a short time? How does it taste? Sofia asked, staring at the fish. Not gonna lie, salt. Tastes like salt. It's a nice appetizer, you can eat them whole, bones and all. She illustrated this by grabbing a handful and showing them in her mouth. Ishkwet. Try it. I'll try one. That feels like chewing on seawater. Zero and Crane excused themselves a while later after sharing their plans to build a newer, better ship. They said goodbye and wished everyone good luck for their trials. Zero hadn't drunk anything but water, but he looked drunk. He sang as he strolled away, no more shelter against the rain, Dwarven Isles, we come again. Dwarven ship? That's going to be expensive. Zire turned to Alith, so you're my second trainee, yes? Where do you need guidance? Where do? What? Me? Alith looked to Sofia for answers, who was busy grabbing more dried fish. It's not that bad. I like salt. Zire decided she would train us for the trial. I'm unsure if she feels indebted to me, and by extension, to you, or if she just has nothing better to do. But she's very good at being a trainer. She's quite strong, an expert in rituals, part of an extinct race, and so on. Hey, show some respect, human. I'm 200 times your age, Zire answered menacingly. She giggled, hiding her beak behind her flowing red sleeves, but indeed, I have absolutely nothing better to do, no. My past ambitions and goals. It's all dust now. And this is fun. I've always loved helping the fledglings. Perhaps I'll keep doing that, open a training school or something. I have an eternity ahead of me anyway, yes. It sounds like she won't stick around for so long after all. Damn, it's really salty. And you're going to spend that eternity helping unrelated people get stronger for free? Alith questioned. Oh, no. No one ever said anything about it being free. Well, if you're Sofia's friend, it will be, yes. Sofia was sipping on her drink, desperately trying to drown out the salty taste in her mouth. But every time she managed to do that, she ate more dried fish, and she couldn't stop herself. She chimed in, that's appreciated. Where will this school be located then? Any idea? I have not the faintest idea, no. The landscape and politics changed too much. But if it happens, then somewhere along the coast, yes. So, I ask again, what is the training you need? My skills are all at the maximum level, so I can use more battle experience or better equipment. That's pretty much it. Oh, that's easy enough, yes. We'll see about the equipment later, Sofia has plans for that. Right now, the focus is on her skills for her training, so in the meantime, you'll be fighting Perith and me. Speaking of Perith. It's been a while, how's he doing? I assume he's in the armor right now. He is. And he's doing well. In fact, he's never been stronger, but we'll need to leave the city first. Leave the city? Can't you summon him out in the inn room? You have an inn booked, right? We can go to mine if you want, but there's only one bed. Zire chuckled but stayed out of the conversation. Well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but that won't be possible. What did you do to our boy, Sofia? You better not have turned him into a fish or something like that. No, it's... You'll see, Sofia chuckled too.